Leafs TJ Brodie going to wear number 78 with the team. He said, I wanted to stick with the 7. I was 79 in junior, but I didn't want to be that again. It's a number I can't really think of many guys that have gone with or worn it. I'm not too particular on what number I am. I've always just gone with what's available, and I thought I would change it up. And they asked him, does he know who he's playing with yet? Because this is important. Remember last episode I mentioned, it's not necessarily going to be Morgan Rielly. There's some projections that it's Zach Bogosian and Morgan Rielly, and then Muzzin and TJ Brodie, because they'd be a good shutdown pair. He said, I didn't really ask. I knew there was a good chance of playing in the top 4, and for me, that's good enough. No matter who I'm playing with, I'm going to do the best I can for the team and try to make everyone better.
Listen, just be good. I mean, Jake Muzzin's good too. When you said, I was getting all huffy, and then you're like, okay, what about Muzzin and Brodie? I'm like, yeah, all right. All right, that was pretty good. I don't know. Listen, Morgan Rielly put up 72 points, in major part because of the power play, but also he knew Ron Hainsey was never going to cross the red line.
Yes.
So if he does play with Zach Bogosian, I'll be mad, and then I'll get over it because I'm like, okay, as long as Zach Bogosian never crosses center ice.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not. Because I was like, well, then he could play with Justin Hall. On second thought, maybe he's better off with Bogosian. And like, who is the better player? I would say Justin Hall, but who is the better fit? I would not put Justin Hall with another. I think part of the reason Justin Hall exceeds with Jake Muzzin is Jake Muzzin hangs back.
Yeah.
Right. Justin Hall needs to be with someone who will let him fly, which is why the dermatologist pairing stopped working pretty promptly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Do you guys want to do some trivia?
Yeah,
sure.
So TJ Brodie is going to be the first Leaf ever to wear number 78.
Wow.
So can you name the lowest number that no Leaf has ever worn?
Lowest number that no Leaf has ever worn. Does it count in
how many numbers are there that
99? The one that
haven't been worn.
I don't have that number. It's like a handful. It's like less than 10, you know.
Well, 99 was worn by Wolf Paymont.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lowest number. Now, does exhibition count?
No.
Okay.
No, it does not.
I wouldn't go on the record.
Camp. Yeah.
I'm going to say. I'm going to say 58 because I remember 59 was worn by a guy named Bob Wren.
And Jamie Cyphers, I think.
Jamie Cyphers,
or was he 56?
I'm going to say 58 just because I don't know. Come on, Steve, just pick one.
49.
All right.
49 has been worn by Brendan Leipzig.
Oh!
Really? Yeah. When they were giving them weird numbers.
Pretty forgettable year.
Yeah.
Adam, what number did you guess?
58.
Adam, you nailed it.
Hey!
Get out of here! Wow.
Wow. All right. Well,
shocked.
Guys, let's not put that skill or memory. That was a dumb luck thing. Dumb luck.
Very good.
Well, I'm glad. I'm so glad.
58 is the lowest number that has never been worn by a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Well, here we go. That's what I'm going to get on the back of my jersey when I have Wild put on it. Number 58, Adam Wild. No one's going to know. No one's going to freaking know. Okay. Now, I do want to mention that there's a couple things in 31 Thoughts we should hit. Number 2, Elliotte Friedman has also personally heard about Joe Thornton and the pitch. The courtship is...
Oh, how convenient!
Yeah, right? Tinfoil hat. And I bet the earth is flat, Elliotte. Anyway.
And the dinosaurs aren't real, and neither is Joe Thornton.
The courtship is on and the interest is real. But one thing I've always been told about the future Hall of Famer, do not underestimate his loyalty to San Jose, which that's fair, right? Like,
of course. Now, he's just got to decide, are the Sharks going to be good? And he may need to wait until the season's already begun to have an answer there, because we all thought they'd be in Stanley Cup contention.
Yep.
And they missed the playoffs in a year where only 7 teams missed.
On the 31 Thoughts podcast, this is point 25, but also on the 31 Thoughts podcast, Zach Bogosian confirmed that he was 12 hours away from a face-to-face meeting with the Maple Leafs when David Ayres happened. Leafs GM Kyle Dubas canceled, saying it made more sense to go with youth than veterans after that result. It was a tough time for Bogosian. He was cut by Buffalo and looking for a new job. Boy, did he land on his feet. And I'm reading directly from Elliotte. He said, I learned a lot in the last year. He said, you can go from the lowest of lows and finish off with the highest of highs. He had at least one larger out there. Elliotte Friedman thinks New Jersey, but he chose to be in Toronto. Now, and I saw a few people tweeting about this, and I think it was Platinum Seekos who had it. He said, is it not a little concerning that after one game, you would cancel a meeting with a potential free agent like Zach Bogosian? And I think that's a fair point, except that game didn't happen in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. It's not like the few weeks leading up to that had been great.
It was the anvil that broke the camel's back.
100%.
Yes.
And I think, again, I think when you think about that game, we forget what led up to that and the enormous amount of frustration that we'd seen from this team. Lackadaisical bullshit, frankly. It was bad hockey. There was no heart, no soul. It was just bad. And you know what? This team always sort of hits a low in mid to late January anyway.
It was all season, man. They couldn't play 10 consecutive days consistently, except for the beginning of Sheldon Keefe's tenure. They really couldn't. Right. And Sheldon Keefe, to his credit, has, a quote that got sort of lost in the sauce at the beginning of this free agency period. He was asked about like the additions to the team and who the Leafs could go out and get. And he goes, let's not lose sight of the fact that this team has more to give. Like this group. And I didn't take it to mean, well, they're young players who are only going to get better because they're getting older and more experienced. He meant these friggin' guys need to learn how to bring it every single day. He might not, I'm putting words in his mouth, but he's absolutely right. This Leafs team had more to give. That's why, what are you so upset about? They make the playoffs. They score goals. They're fun to watch. Dude.
Who says that? I don't know a Leaf fan that's not upset.
Well, no. I see fans of other teams, and it's like it's frustrating because they're not as good as they could be. They're not living up to their potential. It's the Darcy Tucker thing from last show. I just want to grab them and be like, "Are you serious? Come on, guys! You had this opportunity in front of you, and they would just, dude, Casimir Kasky-Swo. Like, I wonder how he views his one NHL game."
Oh,
because it was this great story. I remember it was hockey night. It was this great story at the beginning of it, and his parents were there. And isn't this cool? And they let him get slaughtered. I don't know. He was in an NHL game. I don't know about the rest of the Leafs.
Well, and that's the problem. I think Kyle Dubas made a really good point when he said that, and I think he, to refresh everyone. To refresh everyone. Yeah, 100%. I mean, and the thing is, Kyle Dubas, you have to remember, he's learning on the job as well. And motivation becomes different once you've made the league. There's no question about that. When you're in the minor leagues, and I mean like the OHL, even the AHL, the AHL is a little bit more like pro. But when you're a NCAA player, when you're an OHL player, if you don't bring it every night, you frankly will not make it. But if you already have a guaranteed contract and you're making, let's say you're making league min and you're making $700,000, $700,000 a year to play hockey. A lot of people would, a seventh of that would be more than most people see in a couple of years. And so sometimes people lose their motivation, and you're probably saying, well, these are pro athletes and they're making millions of dollars. No, they're still human beings.
And all relative. It's relative to your situation.
It is relative to your situation. And I think Kyle Dubas made the right call. Why would you reward bad behavior? And that's what he was saying. And it sucks for Zach Bogosian, at least in that situation. It sucked for a minute until Tampa signed him and he won a cup.
I tell you what, David Ayres better never pay for dinner for as long as Zach Bogosian is a Leaf.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really, really good point.
Or the Hurricanes are a franchise,
Yeah.
They own dinner.
Yeah. That guy should be getting a lot of free meals. Put it that way. He did a lot of people a favor. The Leafs up there, but Zach Bogosian got a Stanley Cup out of it and $1 million contract. Do we think Zach Bogosian was going to get $1 million in free agency, having been cut by the Buffalo Sabres?
No.
That's tough. And then everyone forgets about you. Imagine he doesn't get scooped up before the beginning of the pandemic.
Forget that. Imagine he signs with the Leafs.
Yeah.
Right.
And they, frankly, shit the bed like they did.
And you're just one of the other guys on defense who didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing.
You're signing
Kyle
a tryout.
Dubas, and that's not a slight on Zach Bogosian. What I'm saying is we all figured out what Dubas figured out in that moment. Nothing he does that particular season was going to fix that team.
No.
Nothing.
Boy, that's got to be tough as a general manager when you're at the trade deadline and there's nothing I can do about this team. We're going to have to ride this team and hopefully things turn around, but I don't see it.
Well, that's why we saw them do all this confusing shit in the bubble. Like, they called up Nick Robertson to be on the third line? What?
Right.
Andreas Janssen playing in an elimination game. And remember, I was like, I don't know. This sort of seems like they're giving him his opportunity to play his last game as a Leaf. And you're like, no, it's ridiculous. It's an elimination game. It was his last game as a Leaf. William Nylander playing at center. It was a sink or swim scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys like to play games. Play this one.
The all-star line, when you're running out Tavares, Matthews, Marner, that's because it's like we're throwing our hands up. You guys just go do your thing. It's all on you at this point, and sink or swim.
Kyle Dubas was in February and March. He was preparing like they were going to miss the playoffs. They were going full experimental. You guys just figure it out on your friggin' own.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about, certain teams who didn't even want to be in the bubble. The Leafs, I think from a management perspective, were like, all right, we'll see where this goes. Like, you're not going to turn down an opportunity at the Stanley Cup into play. And, you get to evaluate your talent and see where you're at. But I don't think there were any illusions. I think that, and that's what I've been trying to pitch for a long time in terms of strategy, whether you agree with Kyle Dubas or not, that's fine. Lots of people like what he's doing. Some people hate what he's doing. But what I was trying to comfort people with when the Leafs lost in the bubble is, listen, Leaf fans, if you don't like what you see from this team, don't worry. Kyle Dubas agrees. And look what he's done.